Done. We're live.
We're fucking live.
Yay!
Hello and welcome. If you're noticing how exasperated I am, that's because we've been having a hell of a time using Google Hangouts today.
Man.
Fuck Google Hangouts and fuck it hard.
I didn't have any problems.
And at the same time, thank you for working for so long for us. We do appreciate the fact that you exist. But fuck you anyway, Google.
Ripjaw is still having problems, so hopefully he'll be able to make it.
Yes.
So, welcome to the Movie Boozer Virtual Pubcast. I'm Ken, and Bill is here, and Bill is here. And Hawk Ripjaw may be joining us later if he can.
I just got a tweet from Hawk Ripjaw. This is what I can do with my current Wi-Fi speed. I can also check email, but I can't open them. I don't pay this much/month for two things.
He should tweet. Is he tweeting at the cable company?
No, he's just tweeting.
Do we know what his cable company is? I'm curious if it's the same as mine, Comcast.
It could very well be. I don't know.
Mine's Comcast.
Have a Comcastic day!
Which explains all the glitches that I get when we record the show.
Comcast goes out pretty routinely. I'll read articles about it. It's crazy. I got Uverse myself.
Well, aren't you fucking special?
Is that good? I mean,
it's better than Comcast.
Okay.
Dun dun.
Let's see, is it gonna work?
Is it gonna work? Is it? We see Hawk Ripjaw's trying to join. And
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh my fucking god, you're here!
What'd you do?
I just started a new stream and got rid of the old one, which sucks because I posted the old one on Facebook and Twitter and shit. So if anybody was watching that, hopefully you found this one.
Well, they wouldn't.
Okay, well, I'm leaving my camera off, so I don't have to tax my internet too much.
Right. So what are we talking
and
about?
If I leave
first?
again, I'm gonna try.
Why don't we go ahead?
I'd like to hear about Hail Caesar.
Well, yeah, what I was going to say, since that's the one that came out the longest ago, let's go ahead and jump into Hail Caesar. Now, Hawk, I know you've seen it. Bill A., have you seen it?
Nope.
Oh.
Bill L., you have not seen it, right?
No, I don't know if I want to see it. I do want to see it. Let me rephrase. I do want to see it. I don't know if I want to go to the theater and pay fucking $9 to see it.
I will say that's definitely a judgment call for you to make. My own personal opinion, I'll go ahead and just jump into it. Hail Caesar is a Coen Brothers film that I would rank towards the bottom of their films, but in still the good bottom territory. So, like Burn After Reading. I enjoyed a lot, but it's not one of their greatest films.
That movie gets better with multiple viewings.
It does, certainly, but it's never going to be as good.
Well, the first time I saw it, I was really confused, and then I saw it again at home, and for some reason, I understood more of it, and I was just cracking up through the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, as enjoyable as Burn After Reading is, it's still lesser fare in terms of Coen Brothers material. It's unlike, say, Intolerable Cruelty, which is exactly, the appropriate title for said movie. With that said, the one thing that Hail Caesar has above some of those movies, though, is I would argue nearly every scene in the movie is wonderful. It's just, I think it has a little trouble coalescing into a greater whole. It has some messages, morals, meanings that are interesting, but I think it just fails overall to be consistent. What are your thoughts on that, Hawk?
I mean, I see what you mean about it having a lot of different little pieces, and I'm not sure if that was really to the movie's detriment, though, nor do I feel like it failed to coalesce either. It definitely gave you different slices of the studio life and a bunch of different movies and stories happening at once, and some of which contribute to the end game and some of which do not in classic Coen fashion. But I think it was more of just a way to give us a bunch of little snapshots of one day in the life of this one guy's crazy career.
Right, and to that extent, using Josh Brolin's character as sort of the wraparound that kind of ties all of these scenes together works fine. And I understand, the theme. The one thing I found interesting thematically about the film, and it took me a little bit to digest it, but I actually listened to a podcast, the Comedy Film Nerds podcast, if you've ever heard it. They did a spoiler episode on Hail Caesar where they spoke about the movie for an hour in depth, and a comment that really rang true with me was when they said that one thing that's noteworthy about the film is the fact that in all of this weird, just crazy stuff that Brolin's going through, and the high stakes of everything, his job's on the line, the stake of the studio's on the line, the reputation of the studio's on the line. Ultimately, Brolin doesn't. I mean, he cares about his job, but what he doesn't seem to really do is let it get to him. What gets to him is the fact that he's lying about his wife, about his smoking. He keeps telling his wife that he's trying to quit smoking when he's not really doing it. That is what he goes to confession to confess.
That's more effective than Paul Giamatti buying one pack of cigarettes to smoke one of them and throw the rest in the trash.
Right. Well, that's just wasteful, of course.
That is just wasteful.
I think the confession that made me laugh the hardest is when he said, "I struck a movie star in anger," and that made me laugh. It's something that happens towards the end of the movie where he starts slapping around a character, but just the phrase "I struck a movie star in anger" when he's saying that in confession, and the priest is like, "It's really too much, my son."
Well, the thing is, the priest even then wasn't going to. He only very begrudgingly gave him a few Hail Marys to say because of that. It was,
just to get him out of there.
Right. And that's what's fascinating about the film. Brolin's character is really, he's got this Catholic guilt streak that's fascinating because it's, you would think someone like that would be obsessed about, oh, my job is destroying me or something like that. No, he's in his element. And that's interesting.
Yeah.
Another thing that's interesting is I'm not going to get into some spoilers because I will say Bill A. and Bill L., one thing you guys will really appreciate about the film is a couple of twists that occur in it that, whether you see them coming or not, doesn't matter. They're just really fun. I will say, though, that there is a Trumbo connection to this movie. They both have a subplot, Trumbo is the main plot, but a strong subplot within this movie involves communists in Hollywood.
I'm smiling because I saw Bill A's top 10 worst.
Yes.
That's a future episode right there. But
now, if you didn't like Trumbo, one thing I will say.
The movie did.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say one of the things that I felt the movie did really, really well was it blended slapstick with some fairly insightful comedy and drama.
Yeah.
So you have. It's allegorical in a way, the role of Josh Brolin's character, but at the same, one scene later you have an extended wordplay sequence where a revered British director played by Ray Fiennes is trying to teach a drawling movie star Hobie, who is only used to action pictures, to say the phrase "Would that it were so simple," and Hobie cannot get his mouth around the words, and so he's eventually trying to mimic Ray Fiennes' British accent, and Ray Fiennes is like slapping his hands, like, "Why are you saying it like that? No, say it like this." And just back with, "Would that it were so simple," and then Hobie's like, "Would that it were so simple," and
well, he says that with a real country bumpkin accent, though.
Exactly. I mean, his drawl is really heavy, which makes it really funny.
One of the subplots within the film is a actor who is more famous for playing like B-movie cowboy roles, sort of the John Wayne kind of thing, but more of a singing cowboy, more of like a Roy Rogers kind of character. And he does all of his own stunts and such. But damned if he could read lines, because that's not expected.
Everything about the. Yeah, everything about that ballroom sequence is so botched because he walks in, the door creaks, and his shoes are squeaking, and it's all just so awkward and uncomfortable because he's so out of his element.
Exactly. So what they do is they tell him at the last second that we're changing your image, and so they pull him off his latest cowboy picture and they put him into, like you mentioned, a ballroom like soapy drama. where he has to say like Victorian dialogue.
That's
It sounds like parts
And
of what
again, I
I
don't
hear
want to
about
say
this.
what it is, but it go ahead. I think I apologize. I think whatever I'm saying is delayed by about 3 seconds or so.
Yeah, I think you're on a delay too. It's all good.
Why it sounds like I keep cutting you guys off.
From what I keep hearing about this movie, it reminds me of Singing in the Rain a lot. Specifically I can't remember her name. The lead actress in Singing in the Rain that can't sing and has a real shrill, high pitched voice.
Oh, right. Okay.
Lena
I would say there's
something.
There's some comparisons you could draw in the fact that the movie is definitely a tribute to the big old Hollywood movies, and in fact there is a noteworthy musical sequence, which of course if you've seen the trailer, you've seen elements of it.
Channing Tatum sliding across a bar and shit.
It's something like right out of the South Pacific sequel that none of us saw. Just really a well choreographed musical sequence that what's great about it is you don't think that it's moving the plot along, and then it does, and the way it does is brilliant. I really enjoy it that way. There's some great small character bits in this movie. I would say the best part is Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, she basically plays an actress who's pregnant while her film's in production, and there's this whole subplot involving her having to excuse away the fact that she's single and she's pregnant, and in those days that couldn't happen.
Right.
So they come up with this completely completely fakakta, just crazy scheme, which is to have her give up the baby. So, like hide the baby, make sure no one knows that she's pregnant. Give up the baby, and then adopt it.
That's a good PR move.
The idea being that it would be okay to see her adopt a baby, but to have her actually have her own baby as a single mother, oh fuck that.
Oh, I get.
That's almost like an Andy Kaufman style joke. Like, this isn't my kid.
Well, there's rumors that things like that happen in old Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
One of the good lines there is the one of the main lawyers for the studio is like, well, I don't believe there's any California law against a woman adopting her own son. And he's like, well, I'll get the paperwork going. And
right. And there's also a really something that kind of baffles me is that this movie proves Christopher Lambert is capable of acting, which I was shocked. Admittedly, I haven't seen a lot of his more recent roles, but what I remember him from is Highlander and from
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat, where he's not particularly talented.
I guess I'm the only one that gives a shit about Mortal Kombat. I was kind of an impassioned, like, yeah!
No, he did good in Mortal Kombat.
I like Mortal Kombat.
I don't know if I would have cast him in that role, but
it's
considering
still
the tone of the movie,
it's still one of the best video game adaptations we have.
Yeah, that's true.
One more wonderful little joke in the movie that I'll mention is Tilda Swinton plays two roles as rival sisters who are both gossip columnists, modeled after Hedda Hopper, who of course was in Trumbo. So there's a little bit of a connection there. But
sure.
They play sisters. She plays sisters, and so you don't really know who you're talking to until it's confirmed. And it's this brilliantly staged scene in which you're trying to figure out which one is which, and there's some mistaken identity that causes some issues. Really kind of fun, a little bit. And of course,
what was it? It was what their names were. I think it was Thora and Thessaly Thatcher.
Yeah, Thacker. Thora Thacker, Thessaly
Thacker.
Yes,
that's all right.
Thessaly
Thacker.
And there's this running joke, which is, of course, taken right out of the Hedda Hopper kind of thing. Hopper, one of her go-to ways of defending herself was that she had, 20 million listeners or readers. And that's, Thora and Thessaly both brag about their, I have 15 million readers, and the next one's like, I have 20 million. Which is kind of, a nice joke.
Yeah, that was good. One of the jokes that I laughed the hardest at was Frances McDormand has a cameo under heavy makeup
Mhm.
as one of the studio's editors.
Yes, and
You
you
remember
can
that,
tell
Ken?
she's a
Yeah.
professional. You can tell that she's like a hardcore professional editor. And there's this one-off joke that occurs in the editing room where her character almost dies, and she almost dies in the most ridiculous way. She's got like a scarf around her neck, and the feeder for the reels like grabs a hold of her scarf.
That's pretty
Well,
funny.
kind of like basically. Well,
That's how
Josh
our
Brolin's
came
character
around,
is
kind of.
trying to, or it's Eddie, I think his name. He is trying to watch a reel of a film, like one of the dailies, and all of a sudden it starts melting and drifting away, and you can hear uh, um,
Her character.
the gal, yeah, her character wheeze, and she's like, reverse, hey, reverse, and he realizes that her scarf had gotten sucked into the film reel and was spooling along with it and trying to like suck her into it.
That is an actual kill in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, except I think it's like an editing machine.
Right. Well, that's what it is. It is.
It was a moviola, yeah.
Yeah, that's how R.K. Maroon
Yeah.
died.
Well, then he got shot.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
He was
did
just
get
being
shot.
tortured at first, and then
Yeah.
they just shot him. Yeah.
All for
I think what makes
patty
it funny is that you don't realize what's happened until he hits the reverse button, and you don't know why her face is pressed against the moviola, and he finally hits reverse, and she's like, "Oh, I shouldn't wear a scarf to this job," and then she unspools her scarf from the reel.
cake. Yeah. So, the movie is full of these little great moments. It didn't quite hit me. I can't really put a finger on any greater meaning to the movie. There's a lot of little themes here and there that are interesting. So that's why.
Oh, I've got something for you.
All right, go ahead, throw it at me.
So, there's this, and this isn't, I don't think this is too much of a spoiler, but there's a scene early on in the movie, which is actually a really funny scene, where Eddie is talking to a priest, a rabbi, a pastor, and I don't know who the fourth guy is, and they're all arguing over the portrayal of Jesus.
That was a
in the movie.
Russian Orthodox priest.
Russian Orthodox. And they're all arguing over the accurate portrayal of Jesus in a motion picture, and moreover, if Jesus really is God and should be in the picture as Jesus as God. And they have this huge argument over Jesus and God being the same person but also different people in certain religions, which spirals into this really amusing five-way argument. But one thing I've been reading is that Eddie's character, Josh Brolin's character, is allegorical for Jesus because he answers to his boss, who is a faceless executive who lives across the country in New York, and just calls him with instructions. And Eddie takes the heat for everything. So, like Jesus, he's always taking the proverbial heat from everybody else in the studio.
Okay,
like he has to bear the burden
he's the
of the
one
rest
on
of the
cross
world.
when everything is over, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I can kind of see that to an extent. I mean, it's not, I mean, a particularly profound statement to say, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't change my feeling that the movie was underwhelming. If it was something profound and earth-shattering, then I'd be like, "Oh my God, that really is amazing."
Yeah, that's to you. I mean, that's subjective. You know what I mean? Like,
well, what is a critic but subjective? I'm just pointing
well,
it
I know,
out.
but it's not universal, is what I'm saying. Someone else, if Hawk Ripjaw were to tell that to, might go, you know. So it's
I don't
possible.
know. I think I liked it a lot. I thought it was really enjoyable. Obviously, not one of my favorite Coen films, but it's fun. I really got a kick out of it, and I think it's one of those ones that will really. It was a box office bomb in its first weekend. It didn't make much money, but of course it wasn't made for much money. So
it's not really a
advantage.
bomb, so to speak. It's made its money back for its budget right now. It's just
It kind of depends on how you. It depends on how you frame the news. I mean, you can look at it like, well, it didn't make much money, but it's also made back its budget, or you can look at it like it's made the least money in its opening weekend of any Coen film since Intolerable Cruelty. So
Right. Well,
however you frame it, it can be like a good or a bad thing. But I think it's one of those ones that will end up being one of their cult classics. Like I think it'll age really well over time.
Like
When
a
more
burn
people
after
see it.
reading.
Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
a Hudsucker Proxy kind of cult audience that hangs on to this movie. I was one of the. That was actually my first Coen experience, was the Hudsucker Proxy, and I know there's lots of people who shoot that movie down, but I fucking love that movie, and unabashedly so. So it's.
I think it's more of a. I think it was
What
more
was
of a
that?
Barton Fink.
Barton Fink.
I was saying, yeah, Barton Fink or
A lot of people.
Brother, Where Art Thou?
A lot of people give Barton Fink high praise.
Yeah, I actually think Barton Fink's a pretty amazing movie, and
For sure, but didn't that one? Go ahead.
Well, Hudsucker Proxy also bombed pretty badly. In fact, I'm pretty sure that didn't make its money back. Barton Fink, Barton Fink didn't do very well either. That got a very minimal release. But it wasn't made for nearly as much money. Hudsucker was on a larger scale. It had, actors like Paul Newman and stuff like that.
Was Bruce Campbell intended for the Tim Robbins role in that?
Bruce Campbell is in Hudsucker Proxy.
But was he supposed to be the lead in it?
I think he could have.
I can see him doing that 30s talk a lot better than Tim Robbins did it in the movie.
I don't know. I think Tim Robbins is a good choice because his character is supposed to be squirrely and kind of childlike, and that's one thing that Tim Robbins evokes.
It's hyper stylized.
Well, the point of that movie is you're supposed to think Tim Robbins is essentially mentally handicapped until you discover he's actually a genius. Because he's quiet. I'm from Muncie, and he shows you a drawing he has of a circle, and he's like, for kids, and you're like, right. Were you a C student at that community college he went to? Yeah, it's that's the point. He's completely stupid until he's not, and when he's not, you're like, oh wow, this guy actually had a plan. And yeah, it's interesting, and that's what I find fascinating about it. Time will tell. I will definitely want to rewatch Hail Caesar and appreciate more about it. So why don't we go ahead then and move on to another topic, unless you guys have any other questions for us.
Nah.
All right. Before we get into Deadpool, because I'm sure that's going to dominate the evening, I know Bill Leon wants to discuss Gravity Falls finale, so why don't we go ahead and get into that?
All right, that's not where I was expecting you to go.
Quick, am I the only person in this room who hasn't watched much of Gravity Falls? Or Bill A, are you?
I haven't watched any of Gravity Falls.
Right.
At Bill Leon's
okay, cool.
behest,
So
I took it. Yeah, at Bill Leon's behest, I took it upon myself to watch Gravity Falls because there are about 5 or 6 TV series that he is constantly telling me I need to start watching, and I caved finally on one of them, and that was the one.
Did you regret it?
Absolutely not. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Yeah.
I've said my piece. Why don't you try to make a pitch for these guys to get into it? Now that it's all over, you can go watch it all in one shot.
Right. I would say the thing about the show that's interesting is it's basically it's a family-oriented show that is just sort of it gets deep into some sort of cryptic kind of like sci-fi elements and there's a lot of mystery involved, sort of X-File-ish in a way, without it being... X-Files kind of monster of the week, and Gravity Falls sort of starts off that way, but over time a overarching plot sort of develops and it starts heading in a direction that's really intriguing, and the characters are absolutely wonderful. Particularly, my favorite character, I think, on the show is the show focuses on these 2 children, and oh geez, who voices Dipper, Bill?
Jason Ritter, John Ritter's son.
Ah, gotcha, Jason Ritter, and then
Kristen Schaal.
Yeah, Kristen Schaal is the other one, and Kristen Schaal, if you remember her from Flight of the Conchords or various other TV appearances, like on Comedy Bang Bang or things like that. She's got this really high-pitched voice that is uniquely suited for a kind of crazy little preteen girl.
And oh yeah, that's one of the most genius casting choices of the last 10 years, maybe.
What I enjoy most about the show is the way the characters are developed. Though you go through this storyline with them, and the basic concept of it is these two kids are dropped off by their parents to visit their great grand uncle over the summer in this small obscure Oregon town called Gravity Falls, and their great grand uncle runs a place called the Mystery Shack, which is basically a roadside attraction that just it's the kind of creepy roadside attraction that has things like
like the Sasquatch, which is just a Sasquatch in underpants.
Yes, exactly. Just weird bullshit that's mostly faked. And over time, you start to discover that there's actual weird things going on inside Gravity Falls. And
everything in the Mystery Shack is still fake, like attraction-wise. But then there's other stuff, in the town.
Right. There are stories involving aliens, gnomes. There are crazy rednecks. There are zombies at one point. It's kind of like an introduction to pop culture geekery. Is the show. It references a lot of like 80s and early 90s TV and movies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what's entertaining about it, I would say, in a nutshell.
And really, okay, so this finale is wrapping up the main overarching story that has been building this whole time, and I've heard some people make some complaints. Personally, I think there's like one or two minor flaws, but really, I don't think they could have done it better.
I think it was an interesting decision to have the show close at 2 seasons. There are 2 seasons of episodes, and then the finale is spread over 4 episodes, or rather, I'm sorry, 3 episodes, 2 half-hour episodes, and one 1-hour finale.
Mm-hmm.
And so, effectively, the finale is basically a movie in length.
Yeah. The one issue I have with that is if the Weird Mageddon thing, you kind of need the one episode that comes before Dipper and Mabel versus the Future for that all to line up. But
right.
Really, that shit plays out like a great little TV movie. We just had to wait, 6 months for them to air it all. Right. Which I've bitched about their airing schedule in the past, but for this finale, it really kind of worked and helped build up some real hype over it.
Yeah, absolutely.
In some people's cases, I think they got a little too overhyped and they're let down by what they got, but they definitely built the anticipation up by dropping one. I think the first 2 came out relatively close to each other, but this third one, it's been since December.
One thing this show had going for it that kind of helped fuel the audience, I mentioned the cryptic nature of the show. There are a lot of little Easter eggs hidden throughout every episode of the show that come back later on, that kind of build anticipation. And they even start getting to the point where episodes end with a couple of frames of random cryptogram that if you solve the puzzle that's contained within, it gives some information that leads more, secret stuff for later episodes. And I kind of like the viral nature of some of the elements in that. There are Easter eggs in the most ridiculous places in the show. And things that happen, no matter how small in an episode in season 1, might come back and actually be useful, 20 episodes later.
Yeah.
And it just shows a lot of care went into it. The voice acting is wonderful. Besides Kristen Schaal and Jason Ritter, you also have voice performances by J.K. Simmons. That would be probably one of my favorite characters in the second season. Mm-hmm. Who else, Bill? You're more familiar with.
As far as regular characters, Will Forte voices Tyler, the Get 'em guy.
Mhm.
Greg Turkington, a.k.a. Neil Hamburger, voices Toby Determined. Stephen Root voices Bud Gleeful. The creator and voice of Flapjack is the voice of Gideon. And then there's just like the little mini voice roles. Like in the finale, I noticed Antonio Banderas and Jon Stewart. Kyle MacLachlan played the bus driver, Twin Peaks reference.
Mhm.
Huh.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting series. Actually, Twin Peaks is a good way to put it. You could almost call the show a Twin Peaks show for kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's it's the
I'm
weird,
sold.
yeah, the weird happenings of this little Oregon community. Anyway, so with that said, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Bill, any final thoughts on
I'm
that?
talked to death about this show. I'm glad that it didn't go because I think the main reason the decision was made to end it now is just because a third season might have been too much. And look at how often animated shows go past their prime. The fucking Simpsons. Who the fuck cares?
Right.
Watch it. It's really good. It's one of the most quality children's television shows to ever exist.
And since it came to a close after 2 seasons, it's very self-contained, and there is a legitimate ending to it.
And when I say children's show, I mean me and Ken are both grown men, and we enjoy the hell out of it. So.
And there's a ton of things in this. First of all, you see zombies, there's skeletons, there's actually blood sometimes too.
There's some intense imagery in Gravity Falls.
I would say it's a show that probably is best suited for 12-year-old kids and above.
Yeah.
With that said, we'll go ahead and move on to another film. Really quick, I want Hawk Ripjaw to enlighten us on the experience that was watching Zoolander.
Oh, yeah.
Zoolander 2.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to hear about
Yeah.
this.
So,
Yeah.
what do you want to know about Zoolander?
Is it funny?
Zoolander?
I think that's the most important question, right? Is it funny?
That's a good question.
Yeah. That's not very enthusiastic.
One of the funniest jokes in the movie was the first joke in the movie. It opens up with Justin Bieber, who cameos as himself, which I respect, getting chased through Rome by 2 men on motorcycles, and he's finally cornered. And I was hoping they would do this, and I thought it was funny, but it also speaks to one of the movie's main problems. The guy shoots Justin Bieber, and he holds down the trigger for probably 30 or 40 seconds. So you have about 40 seconds of Justin Bieber getting ripped apart by a nonstop hail of SMG fire while sad music plays in the background, and it gave me heavy vibes of the ending of Bonnie and Clyde or Sonny's death in The Godfather.
Are you aware that CSI shot Justin Bieber 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
But this feels more.
Is it funnier
funny.
than CSI? Really?
What?
The CSI shit was pretty funny.
All right. So
And then
they kill him, and then what happens?
Well, he collapses to the ground, and this is the scene in the trailer where he Instagrams a picture of himself.
Right.
But he's gasping for breath, and he takes his picture, and then he takes about a couple minutes trying to scroll through and try the perfect Instagram filter to post it with.
Upon Hawk Ripjaw's request, I recently attempted to watch Gem and the Holograms, and based on that, I want to ask you, how prevalent is social media in Zoolander 2?
It's not. They made
good.
that one Instagram joke is the only.
I was going to say, you mentioning Instagram right off the bat, I'm like, oh, this is a bad sign.
Well, remember, in Zoolander 1, the pinnacle of technology were flip phones that were the size of a walnut, and the wonderful iMac. Y'all remember that?
No. Is that in the movie?
The plot, there's what is the whole thing like? There's the information is in the computer, and the computer is an iMac. So it's basically product placement.
Yeah, and they're trying to break into it to get to the stuff. So yeah, it's and that was funny. That was a funny joke.
I haven't rewatched that movie in years.
You can see why Terrence.
This is the problem with Zoolander 2, though, is that and this is. It's a lazy movie. It goes for all of the easiest jokes it can. So once again, Derek has his tiny little flip phone, and then there's a very brief cameo by Fred Armisen, who is horrifyingly superimposed onto like an 11-year-old boy's body, so he's like a little kid with Fred Armiste's face. He's like, "Oh, you have a tiny phone. Let me take a picture with mine." And he holds up like an iPad and takes a picture with his phone.
Is it creepier than Mike Myers in Love Guru? His head on a child body. Okay. Really?
Far
How do you
creepier.
Oh, I don't even want to imagine.
Like Fred Armisten's character in Zoolander 2 goes so hard into the uncanny valley it comes out the other side in China.
Oh God.
One cameo that was funny, it was in the trailer, but it was still funny, was Benedict Cumberbatch as All.
That's what, the reviews I heard said that he was like the one actually really funny part of the movie.
And he's got no eyebrows. They're like, is All a male or a female model? And he's like, All is All. And it's like, oh, also, All just emailed herself, which means monogamous marriage is now legal here, or something like that. And
monogamous?
No,
is that
monosexual.
Monogamous?
No, monosexual, something like that. Basically, the joke is that
yourself.
The idea is that All is gender neutral.
Bill's laughing, but I'm serious. Like monosexual.
So what you're saying is he doesn't exist within a state of being male or female.
Yeah, exactly. And then he spends
He's
a couple of minutes.
Schrodinger's cat of people.
He's.
Do you remember Do you remember in the original Zoolander there were several instances of people like just taking like maybe 30 seconds of making just like weird eyes at each other and just like
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of that in here, and that's still kind of funny because All does it to Zoolander and he has no idea what's going on. He's like, what? Basically the plot line of this movie is that it opens with Justin Bieber dying. They don't know why all these stars are getting killed. And then back in 2001, 2 days after the school for kids who can't read good and want to do other stuff as well, or whatever it was called.
Other stuff good too.
It breaks and falls into the river and kills his wife because it was made out of the same materials as the model was. That is, being popsicle sticks and heavy eraser stuff.
Well, that's a very
okay. Yeah, that's funny. Admittedly,
that's kind of
funny. But it's also it's kind of poor too to do because that was a happy ending for Zoolander. I mean,
that's true. That kind of I will say I fucking hate that when there's like they literally trample on a happy ending in a completely undeserved way, simply because we need to sequelize a movie that doesn't need to be sequelized.
It's like what they did with Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo.
Well, I was gonna say it makes sense in that or like a Paul Blart too, because it's like no hot chick is gonna stay with these losers.
Well, how about Austin Powers 2, where it's like they spent the entire first Austin Powers movie establishing a genuinely interesting love angle, and then they just, she was a fembot the whole time.
Well, yeah, you're right about that, but the thing that's a James Bond parody, so that kind of gives itself way to do that.
It was, but it wasn't. Austin Powers wasn't quite a Bond parody. It was more a parody of the crazier like.
Dr. Evil is a Blofeld parody.
That's fair, but like,
and yeah, I get
the character of Austin Powers is closer to the Flint character.
Right, and I understand that.
Sure, yeah, that's what.
In like Flint, that's my favorite movie, baby.
Exactly.
So there are other things. Go ahead.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
So there are other things in the movie as jokes that don't work quite as well. After his wife dies, which is, again, that's how they solve the hot chick gets with Derek Zoolander, is that you don't even, the only time you see her is as a ghost at the end of the movie. Which was funny. He goes into seclusion, and Billy Zane brings him his Netflix, and one of the
Okay.
That's kind of funny, actually. I like that Billy Zane just brings him his Netflix.
Okay, I'm listening. Keep going.
At least one of the worst lines in the movie, where Zuna's like, "Oh, Jack Ryan and Jack Reacher, tonight's going to be a total jack-off."
Oh, man.
So there's one thing that I loved about this movie, and that was the costume design.
Tonight's going to be a jack-off.
Oh my God, Bill.
That joke is just so not funny. It's really funny because of that.
It's so bad.
This movie might be for Bill Arsenault. I will say the costume design is really good. Like, you know, one of the things about these movies is that they just wildly subvert the fashion industry. And so the costume designer of this movie goes way the fuck overboard with all of her costumes, or his costume, whoever it was that designed them. Kristen Wiig, again, Kristen Wiig in this movie was hilarious. She's the one with like the face is just Botox to hell. And there's a scene in which Mugatu escapes from prison, and they meet up and they try to kiss, and she's got this like vinyl cage, cylindrical cage around her, or a spherical cage around her head, and they're trying to like force the pieces apart so they can kiss each other. And when they do kiss, they're basically just screaming into each other's mouths, which that was funny. But then, like, you know, there's weird costumes, and all reappears a few minutes after his first thing, like with giant angel wings, and it's like they go totally overboard with how wild costumes can get in the fashion industry, and that was kind of funny. But, you know, it was just kind of a bummer that a lot of the humor was either recycled from the last movie or just went for the really easy stuff.
They had 15 years to write the
trying to think of an
script.
example.
That's no excuse at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, I saw in the trailers some of the more blunt, stupid slapstick, like when Owen Wilson is throwing shit in Ben Stiller's face, and I was like, that's kind of Ben Stiller comedy right there. Like Ben Stiller, you know, I mean, he does like ridiculously goofy things like that aren't. It's hard to explain. It's not like Farrelly Brothers slapstick. It's more. It's more blunt, I guess.
There was a time when Ben Stiller comedy was a little bit sharper.
I will spoil the big hook of the plot for you guys.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't care.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So the idea of the plot is that Ben Stiller has a kid, Derek Jr., and an ancient sect of fashion designers, which includes cameos by the real Tommy Hilfiger, the real Vera Wang, and a whole bunch of other ones.
Ralph Lauren is in there.
Marc Jacobs is in it too. What?
Ralph Lauren is in there.
Ralph Lauren is not in it, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
So it basically what they say is that you had Magnum and Blue Steel from the last movie. The movie posits that in the beginning of time, in the Garden of Eden, there was not only Adam and Eve, but a third person named Steve, who pioneered the origin of Magnum called El Nino. And the fashion designers want to cut out the heart of the chosen one of Steve's immortal.
That's a terrible plot.
That is, but it's almost so stupid that it could technically work.
I think it works
almost
better.
It almost does? Okay. That's...
Or maybe
they
like
almost
with maybe Ben Stiller's lost his touch, because like with more like comedic, like a Phil Lord and Chris Miller directed this kind of material, it could work. I don't know.
One thing that I liked is that all of the real-life fashion designers get really into it. There's a scene where they're all chanting, "We want the blood! We want the blood!" And so seeing like Tommy Hilfiger and Marc Jacobs and Vera Wang all chanting this, it was really kind of something special.
I mean, I'd imagine they would, just because, I mean, what other film is out there that actually glorifies fashion?
Right.
That glorifies fashion in a... how many fashion comedies are there?
Oh, yeah, okay. You mean like satires that are
right.
almost parodies of the industry itself, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was surprised by how invested everybody was in the movie. So you have movies like any of Adam Sandler's recent stuff where nobody seems to be trying. Everybody involved in this project genuinely gave a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like it still fails. Which
not in the way that 50 Shades of Black, everyone thought they were hilarious. It's like you could tell that people had fun making this movie. Like Kirsten Wiig in her role like didn't do much, and you could barely tell who she was underneath all that makeup, but she sold the hell out of that performance. She was all in.
Mm-hmm.
even with her weird style of speaking, like you can't understand anything she's saying. Like she pronounces faces like feces.
Which I'm sure is a cheap joke in the movie, right?
Not really. They're just kind of like Zoolander's like, I have no idea what you're saying.
Bill has laughed at like
everything. See, this is mostly like a disappointing review for Hawk and for the rest of us. I'm actually kind of wanting to see it now.
When I get a chance, I'll watch this. I'm not going to go to the theater and watch it.
I think Hawk has a great ability to touch a nerve with me when he does a synopsis of a film. Every time he does one, it makes me want to see it.
And I like that you're laughing so much at this, Bill, because it's kind of making me retroactively enjoy more of what I remember from it. One thing the movie does deliver on, I mean, maybe not successfully or to my liking, but there are, once again, a lot of cameos.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sting is in it. Katy Perry is in it. Neil deGrasse Tyson is in it. He exists pretty much only for one reason. There's a scene where Hansel is like, "Who am I?" And then Katy Perry does it, and then Neil deGrasse Tyson is like, "Neil deGrasse Tyson? You don't know who you are?" He's like, "Well, in an ever-expanding universe, it's slowly pulling itself apart into nothingness. Yeah, it's kind of hard to find yourself." He's like, and they're like, "Wow." He's like, "Yeah, I am Neil deGrasse Tyson, bitch."
I like that Bill didn't laugh at that joke.
Yeah, that one I'm not too sold on.
That one felt incredibly forced, and there's one.
Well, here's the thing: any cameo in which the person has to say their own name for a cameo is, I mean, it's been done successfully, but that's hard. It's like.
Well, do you remember that trailer for Scary Movie? What was it, 5 or 6 or something?
There's only 5, I think.
5?
Yeah.
Okay, the one with Charlie Sheen and Lindsay Lohan. They're in bed, and then a ghost is trying to get Charlie Sheen, and he's looking right into the camera. I've been through worse.
Yeah.
I was
Right,
like, yeah, we all know.
It's like
now you get AIDS. You know, we get it.
Right.
He fell out of the window in Scary Movie 4 and fell onto his dick. So like,
He fell onto his giant erection. Yeah.
Yeah,
How
but
did
he meant in his real life career.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying I didn't see Scary Movie 5. How is he still alive in the continuity?
Because no one
needs to see Scary
Because
Movie 5.
I know that Scary Movie writers are really concerned about continuity and keeping things consistent.
So Zoolander 2.
Okay, there's one more thing in Zoolander 2 that I want to get your guys' opinion on this, because people that are saying this on the internet were like shocked by how offensive this joke was. And I almost thought it was amusing, but at the same time, like, damn, I'm surprised they actually dared to try to go for that one.
All
So
right.
when we reunite with Hansel, he has been with a group of, I don't know, like 12 different people. Like, they all live together, and they had a massive orgy, and all of a sudden they're all pregnant. And one of the people that's included in that group is Kiefer Sutherland.
And he's pregnant?
Wait, yeah, he's pregnant?
He's pregnant, yep. And throughout the whole movie, Hansel is trying to run away from the fact that he's going to start a family with these 12 people that are all pregnant. At the very end, he finds Kiefer Sutherland again. He's like, "No, I'm ready. I'm ready to start a family." And Kiefer looks really sad. He's like, "I lost the baby."
Because he didn't have one in the first
So
place.
they have a joke about Kiefer Sutherland miscarrying Hansel's child.
Yeah, you just said that out loud. Like,
I don't think the joke's offensive. I also think it's just not.
It's a joke that doesn't quite land, but it's so absurd that you kind of chuckle.
But once again, like everybody else in this movie, Kiefer Sutherland, he goes for the fucking throat with his joke.
Maybe it's funnier in the movie's context. I don't know.
He just goes full on sad movie emotion, just like like you can see the weight of the world on his shoulders. Like Kiefer Sutherland is a good actor, and he sells. Yeah, exactly. He sells the role of the rejected, orgy member, and just like lost, like brokenhearted so well.
I will say that I think there's something to be said for like setting someone up for a joke and then hitting them with something so incredibly depressing that it's almost funnier because of that.
that can be funny.
That's sort of an anti-humor kind of joke.
Sure.
I know if you're at all familiar with Cyanide and Happiness, the comic strip, they have every year a 1-week period called Depressing Comic Week, where every single comic is just so aggressively not funny. It's so Like, and the last panel was almost always so incredibly depressing that you almost can't help but laugh at the awkwardness of it.
Yeah.
And then they had a cartoon series, and they for their cartoon series they also had a depressing episode that did the same thing.
Hey,
Right.
CISO, if you want to sponsor us, we'll plug your shows.
Yeah.
So really, in conclusion, like Zoolander 2, I felt was kind of a lazy movie. It recycled a lot of old jokes, but it does a lot of it tries a few things as well that are new. Other things are kind of stupid, like Owen Wilson or Hansel chases after Mugatu in his helicopter, and you're not sure why. And then when they finally land, you realize that he had been riding on top of the rotors, and his hair is all ruffled because he's been whipping around so fast. So there's dumb jokes like that. There's still fun things like Mugatu, who's in a straitjacket, convinces Derek to let him go by saying, "I have an itch," and then Derek's logic is, "You want me to say that, so I won't help you," and he's like, "Well, maybe not." He's like, "Well, since you're not saying that, then maybe you want me to do it, so I won't, so I will," and it's just like that same like stuff about Derek like being such a fucking idiot. He talks himself into really stupid situations.
Mm-hmm.
There's stuff like that that's still kind of funny. Overall, it wasn't very good, but it's a hell of a lot better than most comedy sequels that have been made in the past several years.
All right.
Oh, that's a low bar.
If Zoolander
that
1
is.
has a soft spot in your heart, then there are going to be things in 2 that will get that nostalgia going,
Mhm.
but it still feels like something that really didn't need to be made.
Sounds like something to wait till it's on Netflix or something.
Absolutely.
To be
I would
delivered
not-
by.
Billy Zane, yeah.
Yeah, if Billy Zane delivers me a copy of Zoolander 2, I will watch it.
Okay,
Of course.
that's fair.
So
He's got to be wearing a toupee.
the one unfortunate thing, there isn't a. One of the best parts of Zoolander was the David Bowie cameo.
Yeah, and
That's why Sting is in this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just
and
depressed
Sting's
myself.
inclusion I thought was pretty fucking dumb, but
I
that's
will
okay.
say this: I'm sure that they shot this before Bowie passed, but he was
Right.
sick. He was sick and dying, so he was probably like. If
Well,
they,
he had to check his priorities. I mean, he's not
Well,
making
yeah.
time to appear in Zoolander 2.
He
when he's
probably. Well, like, you think about how he looked in those music videos. He would have kind of looked frail and not the same
Not fully
character.
obsessed.
Well, yeah,
The
but at the
reason-
same time, like his cameo in Zoolander 1 was not really a landmark thing by any means. He showed up to moderate a runway competition.
Walk off.
Yeah.
Right, but it's a great scene, and his appearance in it. It's sort of like everyone talks about how hilarious the cameo of Chuck Norris is in Dodgeball, and all he does is like he doesn't even really. Does he say more than like 2 lines?
I don't even remember him being in that, but I don't give a shit about.
He was one of the judges at the very end.
Right, and it's like it's a memorable cameo because it was so bizarre and so random. That's
There are other like really small cameos in Zoolander 2 that I just thought were weird. There's Ariana Grande is in it.
Why?
For no reason. In fact, I didn't recognize it until somebody pointed it out. She's wearing a ball gag and tries to join a second orgy with Hansel. And
How
then one
old
of
is she?
I don't know, 20s?
She don't
And
look
then
that
one of the
old.
members of the first orgy calls her a basic bitch.
She looks like she's 15.
John Malkovich is in it.
Why? Every single person you say, I'm going to be like, why?
One reviewer said that the movie has more celebrity cameos than it has laughs, and it's almost a wash. But there are still things that I laughed at. I mean, watch it on Netflix. It's free. It takes an hour and a half of your time. You won't hate yourself when it's over, but I wouldn't pay money to see it either.
What's Ben Stiller's track record as a director, and is this his worst film? Because I'm thinking you got. I haven't. He did Reality Bites, and I've never seen that.
What was the movie he did? No, I don't think this is his worst.
There was The Cable Guy. There was Tropic Thunder.
Mhm.
Zoolander.
All three, I like them.
Yeah, really. As far as films he's directed, the only one that really didn't was The Secret Life of Walter Mitty was okay.
Oh yeah, there's that.
But even that it tried. I mean, he directed Heat Vision and Jack, I believe, which is a pretty cool. It's one of the coolest TV pilots that most people have never seen.
So yeah, maybe it is his worst movie. But I didn't hate myself. I mean, maybe it's because I spent the last 2 days trying to figure out my worst of 2015 list.
Well,
That I
wait,
had a little bit of
didn't he
goodwill for
also?
something else.
Didn't he also? It says here that he. Oh no, that was Danny DeVito who directed Duplex. Okay.
Duplex was I thought Duplex was funny.
Okay.
All right, so now that we've covered Zoolander, Bill Leon just fell off.
No, there he goes. He's back.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill. Didn't you have another movie you wanted to talk about?
I do, and I'm going to make it quick. It's called
Okay.
Foreign Land, and I really don't have too many bad things to say about it.
Which one?
It's called Foreign Land. It's super indie. I thought this was a more mainstream film, but I guess it's like super indie. It's on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And it must have been shot years ago because there's a part where there's an ad for the TV show Weeds on a bus. I'm like, Weeds ended like 4 years ago, so this has to be like at least that old that they shot it, but it's just now getting a release. The film is about a high school Latino kid living in Missouri who finds out that his mother brought him across the border illegally when he was only a few months old. His father's job that he was working was supposed to get them sponsorship, but his dad suddenly died. And as this kid is applying for college, they want a birth certificate from him, and that's really, like, he only just finds this shit out as the movie begins, that he's not a legal citizen of the United States. Gets deported through, a series of misunderstandings. And this movie is inspired by a true story, and whoever it's based on, I've been told that person never got out of Mexico, and he's still there. Simultaneously, and this is kind of a flaw with the movie, there's a white girl that also gets deported through a series of misunderstandings. They could have cut her out of the movie, and in fact focused on our protagonist a lot more, and develop that a lot more. I mean, the white girl's fine. She's a good actor. Like, nothing is wrong with it, but it takes away from the protagonist because the way the movie ends is just he gets her back to the United States, and then it just stops. I'm like, really? That's it? Like, that's where you're going to fucking end? Like, tell the rest of your story. Like, what the fuck? I don't know what the fuck that's about. But great performances in this by a lot of unknown Hispanic character actors. The protagonist is great. This guy that runs a shelter in Mexico who becomes a fatherly figure to him, he's a great actor, great performance. He runs into a homeless guy under a bridge, great fucking character actor, great performance. This was an entertaining movie. I wouldn't call it great, but if you're interested in kind of like indie dramas and good characters and good performances, this is good. This is pretty good.
I know that movie got like a very limited release in that it was playing at like an AMC theater that was like 50 minutes from my house, and I was like, I don't know if I'll make the ride. But you said it's on Amazon Prime right now?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
I have a question.
What's that?
Out of all the movies that Bill Leon ends up not seeing, why was this one of the ones that you did?
Because I didn't have to leave my house.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, okay.
Problem solved.
Touché.
All right. So, any other comments about the movie, or?
I think I'm not going to say you guys would love it, but you would at least like it. So, based on that, like, I've only seen like 3 movies of 2016, but they've all been good. Actually, no, I saw 50 Shades of Black. So 1 dud, 3 good movies this year so far.
With that said, we'll go into Deadpool now.
The best movie of 2016.
Well, I mean,
actually,
we're only halfway through February.
Yesterday I saw a press screening for The Witch. That might actually be top Deadpool in some quality respects.
The Witch looks really fucking good.
I don't even know what this is.
The Witch? Oh, God. Well, maybe we'll talk about it when it comes out this weekend.
We'll talk about The Witch next week because I'm probably seeing it this weekend, and I don't want it spoiled.
But I'm just saying it believe the hype.
Good.
So Deadpool.
Yes.
Deadpool. So I want to say one thing really quick about Deadpool is that I loved the movie except 2 seats to my right, there was a guy who at almost every single joke in the movie that was not above high school level, or no, that was not above high school level, he would stamp his feet and scream like a banshee because he was laughing so hard.
Oh God, I hate those people.
That
So,
happened. I've only had that experience once, and take a wild guess at who the director of the film I was watching was.
Adam
Adam
Sandler?
Sandler.
Or no, Dennis Duggan?
It was Tarantino.
Oh, man.
Really? Oh, that's even weirder.
I don't mean that as a jab at Tarantino, even though I don't really care for him as a person. That's a jab at Tarantino's fans, the ones that, people fucking do that shit, and I'm like, why? Like, we were watching Grindhouse, fucking Death Proof. I'm like, why are you laughing?
Wow. Yeah, no, this guy is like every time, Daredevil's like, oh, teabag, then right next to me,
Did you just call Deadpool Daredevil?
Yes,
Did I
he
say
did.
Daredevil?
Yeah,
I meant
you
Deadpool.
said Daredevil.
Anyway,
You probably got the new season on your head.
Well,
I
they both dress in tight red leather suits.
Oh, man, this guy
He
pissed
doesn't
me
wear
off so
leather.
much. Like, I would have enjoyed the movie so much more if I didn't have this fucker right next to me just, like, making so much noise. Like, I have no idea how the person in front of him didn't turn around and strangle him because...
There were people sitting behind me that shut up when the movie started, but during the trailers they were pissing me off, and I was worried I might have to turn around and say something. They badmouthed the 10 Cloverfield Lane trailer and praised the Purge election year trailer, and I was like, you guys just need to stop seeing movies. Like,
Yeah,
fuck
my audience clapped when the Coming Soon trailer announcement came on because they were like, finally, the movie's almost here.
Yeah,
They were really excited. They didn't bad talk any of the movies or anything. They may have laughed at a few things, but it was, for the most part, a very positive experience.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I enjoy the Purge series more than I enjoy the Cloverfield series.
Well, there's only
Yeah,
one
I've seen
movie in the Cloverfield series, and there's 2 in Purge, so, slightly better chance of...
Yeah, well, so far, the
something entertaining.
Cloverfield movie has had their nil for one.
Yeah, Cloverfield was... Cloverfield was not a good movie.
I've never rewatched. Actually, I don't think it's a bad movie.
Yeah, me neither. I liked Cloverfield.
The Cloverfield movie is perfectly fine while you're watching it, but literally has
Listen.
nothing to leave you with.
Don't take this away from me. I am so fucking hype about this trailer. John Goodman's gonna get hit in the face with a bottle.
So
The
Deadpool...
thing that bugs me about the 10 Cloverfield Lane trailer is that this movie started out as a movie called Vanguard, and I
know. I don't care about any of this.
I'm firmly
All right.
convinced that they... Hold on. I'm firmly convinced that they took a movie called Vanguard and then shoehorned it into the Cloverfield franchise.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. So, fuck that movie. And
It's gonna make more money now than it would under the title Vanguard.
So there was another movie that came out last weekend called Deadpool that we have to discuss.
Oh, by the way, Ted
Hardest might be to stay on topic.
So
Yeah,
what's Ted Cruz been up to these days?
Yeah, what has he been up to these days?
All right, so there's this other movie called Deadpool, and we could also talk about that.
No, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about
what else came out this weekend? Wasn't it? Trying to remember.
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, the highest grossing film of all time.
I've heard good things about that movie.
Really?
I've heard it's fun.
You know what else I heard was
I've
fun?
heard
I heard Deadpool was pretty fun.
Yeah,
Did you know that's the first R-rated movie ever?
It took 12 years to make.
It took 12 years to make. And it's the first R-rated movie ever made ever.
Wolverine Origins was 12 years ago?
Yeah.
I do want to stop. I know you're enjoying this, Ruff, but I want to just stop to just point out that you would think it was the first R-rated movie ever if the people at the theater, the parents who brought their little kids,
Well, that's another thing.
were
We
any
should,
indication.
before we go any further, who had children in the theater when you saw this?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone.
I didn't, but I went on a school day.
Walking out of I went on Monday morning,
Mhm.
and it was President's Day, so the kids were there, and the kids I would say ranged in age from probably like 9 to 13, and and this mother walks out of the theater with her 2 little kids who probably look 9, 10 years old, and said, "Well, that was offensive," and the little kid looks at mom and says, "This movie's rated R, though. It says right here." And the mom says, "Well, it said it was a Marvel movie, and those movies are supposed to be for you kids."
But it said rated R, you dumb bitch.
Yeah.
I do not understand this whole thing. I mean, because
As flawed as the MPAA rating system is, and there's certainly flaws involving that.
watch the film This Is Not Yet Rated to get more info on that. It's a good documentary.
That's a good doc.
But a movie is rated R for a reason. It's rated R because kids really shouldn't be going to it. There's something in there.
I didn't experience that, and I don't think that any parents in my theater were, I think the parents that came to my screening did the research, because I didn't hear any shit like that. And if you say some shit like that, you should have your child taken away, because you clearly don't understand what to expose them to.
What I enjoyed, though, was I was sitting on the bench waiting to see Hail Caesar after that, just outside the theater, and I just heard these children calmly explain to their mom, well, I thought it was a good movie. And the mom was like, well, this wasn't for you. And it just baffled me, because it's like, there's something magical happening right here, Mother. First of all, your two kids were quiet through the whole movie. I didn't hear a peep out of them. They were listening to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
They were enjoying the movie, and they weren't making noise. And then the movie comes out, and you're being immature, and your kids are being adult.
Now, I will say this. When I was like 11, 12 years old, I was watching a lot of South Park. I was reading some violent anime, manga series and shit. So, like, it's not
unheard of, but the point that I'm making here is, whereas this mother is being a child to her children, the children are grown the fuck up. And that's awesome.
Thanks, Deadpool.
I've been watching
parenting.
I've been watching people on talking about the movie online, and this one guy was laughing because he said right around the point where Deadpool starts having sex with his girlfriend, down towards the front of the auditorium, a dad and about 5 kids very quickly exited the theater.
Now, actually, during Hail Caesar, I had a guy walk out of the theater and said, this is the worst fucking movie I've ever seen in my life.
This is an aside, but I hope you guys find it entertaining. I went to see Deadpool with a friend of mine that used to work at the local movie theater, and he told me that someone took their children to see Step Brothers, and somebody else in the theater that was not the parent of these children came and complained and said about the scene where he puts his balls on the drums. He was like, there's male genitalia in this movie, and you need to remove this child from the theater.
I remember when Star Wars Episode 3 came out, right around the part where Anakin caught on fire, like some baby in the front row started crying. This is like, it was on point. He's like, ah! And this sort of,
would it have been more funny if he did it during the no?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
no.
Imagine yourself, though, Bill, in that position. If you actually were supposed to go up to a mother or go up to a child and say, I have to take you out of the theater.
They're not allowed. No, that's what they told the dude. Is the parent bought the ticket.
Yeah.
They're there with the guardian. They can't say shit to them. They can't remove them from the
I know.
theater.
I'm just saying, if that actually happened, can you imagine how awkward that conversation would be? All right, little girl, you have to leave this movie. There's balls.
Okay,
That
so
would be so
Deadpool.
awkward.
we could take this all sorts of places, but let's not.
I know he's called the Merc with a Mouth, but he's really like more of an assassin, right? Like than a mercenary.
Yeah, he's a mercenary.
Well, in the context of the movie, isn't mercenary like you're working for something, like an organization or something?
Well, he is. He's early in the movie.
contracted.
It shows him taking contracts to like beat people up.
Yeah, from the bar owner guy. I
So
think.
that's a mercenary.
Before we talk about any of the like cool fighting shit on the bridge and stuff, can we talk about that pizza guy scene?
Yeah, that was good.
That was fucking
That was
awesome.
good.
It was baffling and just I was really amazed with how well written it was.
Mhm.
The whole concept of, he knew that the guy was going to deliver pizza to the person's house, so he like broke into some dude's house in order to fuck with the pizza guy.
Well, I think he ordered the pizza from that guy's house because
Yeah,
the
he did.
guy he's like, I didn't order a pizza.
So here's what baffles me. He chose some random dude and ordered a pizza from his house.
Yeah.
He's a psycho.
It was probably.
Well, he's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
movie
it was probably-
establishes.
It was.
Go on.
I was just gonna say it was probably in proximity to the guy's house or something.
Yeah, I guess but yeah, that's one thing that's fascinating about Deadpool as a character is he's really the only super, I guess, hero or anti-hero, I guess you could say, who he's just plain fucking insane.
Yeah.
And that's what's awesome about his character. It's probably him and the Punisher.
In the Marvel universe.
Yeah, they're probably the only two superheroes I can think of who are essentially just completely out of their gourd.
Don't forget about my favorite superhero, the Tick. He broke out of a mental ward in the comics.
Right, but that's like a fully comedic character.
Yeah. Well, Deadpool's a pretty fully comedic character.
Right, but but within a universe that isn't all there are dramatic elements.
Daredevil has had some very dark shit happen to him. He does have a kid. He's been married, he can't hold on to a relationship. All his girlfriends keep getting killed. I think he got raped at one point.
Did you say Daredevil again?
Sorry. Deadpool.
I thought you meant to say Daredevil.
No, Deadpool.
Daredevil never got raped.
I don't know why I keep saying that. No, Deadpool. all those things that I just said were Deadpool. I don't know why I keep saying Daredevil.
His girlfriends keep getting killed.
Like I said, red leather, man. Red leather, yellow leather.
My mind is drifting.
I think Daredevil's girlfriends do keep getting killed.
That's true.
But that's for different reasons. That's not for different reasons.
Yeah.
For plot convenience.
Yeah.
So I read through an article just a couple days ago after I saw the movie that Deadpool the movie has it was like almost 100 different Easter eggs, like everyone from the fat Gandalf character that they taunt in the movie is another character in the universe.
That's the dude. He was in Harold and Kumar Go to Guantanamo Bay. He was Big Bob.
Yeah.
Cock meat sandwich guy.
It plays a character. I think it's I can't remember what his name is. It was something, but
it was something.
It was something. I think it was Trigger or something like that. I don't know.
Rob Liefeld is in that scene, and Deadpool calls him by name.
I thought it was him that yelled out his own, like, "Hey, fuck Liefeld."
Yeah. I wish they would have done that.
No, he did. Somebody yelled that. I think it was Liefeld himself that yells that out.
Why would he? All right, fine.
Why wouldn't he? It's the Deadpool. Even the opening sequence, the opening credits they don't name anybody a name. It's like starring, this and that and
that was that whole thing, like the song. I never noticed. I've heard that song before, but that's a fucking great song.
Oh yeah, it is, and it fit well with the scene. It's just like everything about that. You have Daredevil. I said it again. Fuck. Deadpool's crotch in somebody's face, another guy getting nailed in the head, and it's just like that's an amazing opening title sequence.
Oh yeah, well especially
then you got like little things like a picture of him as Green Lantern flying around, and you got like all sorts of other shit going down.
This movie kind of makes me want to watch Green Lantern to see how bad it is.
You never saw Green Lantern? Oh man,
I never saw Green Lantern.
3 words: giant shit cloud.
Yeah, for real.
You don't need to see Green Lantern.
The one thing I'll say about Green Lantern in its favor is that Ryan Reynolds can play a superhero really well. He knows how to. Well, not so much just a superhero really well. He knows how to deliver a rated actor. I think he knows how to play up the dramatic elements really well. There's a bit in the Green Lantern where he's fighting the giant shit cloud, and he's got his fist up at it, is pointing the ring at it, and he's shooting out energy, and he starts saying the Green Lantern line, in brightest day and blackest night, and he's saying it with such conviction, and it starts off when he's saying it almost like he has doubt in himself, and then as he continues the sentences, he begins to have confidence, and then he's like, Green Lantern's a light, and it's kind of silly and stupid, but he does it so well that you really have to applaud his commitment to that.
I've always liked the delivery of that line.
Yeah.
One thing I also enjoyed in Deadpool was the whole thing about the X school, whatever you call Xavier's school for the gifted youngsters or something. How every time they go there, it's just like completely abandoned. There's only the two, Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead was her name.
That bothered me until the line you're referring to.
Oh, I agree. I was thinking, oh, wow, this must be a budget thing. And then they literally comment on it, which in recent days it's surfaced that there were a ton of budget cuts made during Deadpool.
Yep.
Deadpool actually came in with a tight budget for this kind of movie. $58 million.
Yeah. And it certainly made it back, like in the weekend.
I don't know about you guys.
By Friday, the box office revenue is expected to triple that budget. So
I don't know about you guys, but I think
It's already tripled that budget.
I'm referring to domestic. It's internationally, it's more than triple.
Okay.
every cent of that budget is on the screen.
Absolutely,
Yes.
and here's the thing. It looks very big. The CGI is not bad. I really didn't see anything that bugged me. And this movie cost $58 million. I have to say, you know what? Maybe putting restrictions on the budget made them think creatively. Because, for instance, one of the things that was a budget cut was the fact, you know the whole line about him forgetting his bag of guns?
Oh,
That was actually, apparently, as a result of budget cuts, they decided, all right, well, Deadpool's just going to use his swords for this.
Yeah, they had a major gunfight planned, in which Daredevil would have. I'm just gonna roll with this one. He would have remembered to bring
Just
his
own it, man. Just own it.
guns with him, and when that basically they had most of the movie shot, most of it. I mean, the movie was almost completely done with principal shooting, and Fox came in and said, "Hey, we're cutting about $8 million from you guys. You got to figure out. You got to find $8 million somewhere and get rid of it." And
Right.
so they're like. They had to cut this big old gunfight that they had planned between Deadpool and some other mercenaries, and you know what? Let's just have him forget his guns.
That worked because the 12 bullets thing was like really fucking compelling. I was sitting there counting, keeping track of like the bullets, and it was like it engaged me more. Like I was having more fun with it than I would have had it just been fucking random guns firing off everywhere.
Well, the fact is, Deadpool he's like Wolverine. He heals, and so it's kind of lower stakes if he's got a huge fucking arsenal at his behest. If you take away his arsenal, you give him a little bit more vulnerability, and you're more likely to actually, worry that he may not be able to pull it off. Unlike, say, I mean, that's one thing that's always kind of bugged me about Wolverine is that he heals like crazy, and he's also got those huge fuck-off blades on him, and he's got a skeleton of pure impenetrable steel on top of the fact that he heals like crazy.
I don't think you can kill Wolverine unless you rip out his heart.
Or I think it's something like, isn't it supposed to be like with Wolverine, you literally can't kill him? Isn't there some sort of some comic book thread of Wolverine being cut in half and spending like a few issues trying to crawl to find his legs?
That's retarded. I heard that years ago, you have to rip his heart out.
Okay, well maybe that's it. I don't know.
Maybe that's.
I'm sure he's been killed at least once. Every superhero's been killed at least once, except maybe Batman.
How hilarious was that scene, by the way, when Deadpool's hand was growing back? And
I was just gonna bring that up. Yeah.
He's like, I bet it feels huge in this hand.
The baby hand. Yeah, the baby hand was.
That was a little weird, huh?
It reminded me of Dark Backward, actually, because, the little baby hand out of the back and shit.
Well, I hate to go into too much information here, but my nephew was born a preemie, and it kind of, like the skin on the hand kind of looked like when my nephew was premature, just very greasy skin and, really kind of, to use...
What are you getting at, Ken?
Well, when you're a premature baby, you're not cooked yet. They have to keep you in an incubator so you actually continue to grow, and that's kind of what it looked like, that kind of uncooked kind of thing. This ain't done yet. Put it back in the oven.
Really unsettling, the analogies you're using right now.
Yeah, really. I don't know what you're.
That's the thing. It was almost like a body horror joke they made because that was such a gross-looking hand.
Better body horror than Fantastic Four.
Yes.
Oh, by far.
By far, yes.
I mean, everything in this movie is better than Fantastic Four.
Well, Fantastic Four was so convinced of how important it was.
I know. Yeah. But that's the whole thing. It's like Fantastic Four. I remember there were articles and stuff saying like, this is going to tie into X-Men, and this is going to be like a big universe.
No.
Since that, well, I'm saying yes, that failed. Since that's out of the way, and now we have Deadpool, which is an unmitigated success, how is this going to fit into a greater universe? A PG-13 universe?
Well, they've already announced that the next Wolverine movie is going to be a rated R movie.
That's not confirmed yet. No, that's not confirmed yet. That's just kind of that's speculation right now. I don't doubt it. I mean, considering the Deadpool success and how dumb people that make marketing decisions are. I don't doubt it by any means.
I thought they confirmed that, but yeah.
No, all I've
either way,
seen is that the X-Force movie might be rated R. Like Simon Kinberg said, he's like, I'm not saying it will be, but I can envision a world in which the X-Force movie would be rated R.
And Deadpool was originally from that comic series, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, in theory, the X-Force movie would have Daredevil headlining it.
All right, at Toy Fair
Deadpool.
2016, 20th Century Fox revealed they are targeting Wolverine as an R rating. That's what they said.
How many does Hugh Jackman have left in him? Because he said he was leaving after like
Just
2
that
more
one.
movies, right?
I think it's just this one. Yeah,
That one's the last one. So, do you think it's going to be R-rated, or do you think it's going to be like The Wolverine, which was shot as an R and then heavily edited down to a PG-13?
I think if they say targeting R, and they announced that just yesterday, that's when this article was posted, I think the success of Deadpool is going to convince them to keep it as rated R.
Have you seen the director's cut of The Wolverine? It's pretty goddamn violent.
Yeah, I have not seen the director's cut.
Yeah, no, I haven't either.
Because I really have no interest in seeing the movie again.
It's not bad. I would
watch a director's cut because that's like I'm sitting there watching this movie and I'm like, why isn't there blood?
Does the director's cut include anything other than just gore, or does it change any plot elements?
There are a couple more scenes from what I remember. Yeah.
All right, I'll give it a shot maybe if I can find it.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay like any more than money for it.
Do you guys
I wouldn't pay any more than money for it. Yeah.
So what? Barter?
Yeah.
Yes,
you guys have
I would
suggestions?
stop at goods and services if it comes to watching.
I've got a bobblehead Twinkie I can sell. Yeah, maybe they'll take that for my movie.
Yeah.
Schwinky the Kid?
Yeah, it is. It's a Twinkie the Kid. How'd you know?
That's the Twinkie mascot.
Yeah.
Hey, soon your money will be no good. Amazon's going to have to start accepting more than just digital currency.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any suggestions on how Deadpool could work into a PG-13 movie with the use of one F word?
It would have to be a cameo.
Yeah.
It would have to be a Wolverine first class style cameo.
And oh, I didn't like that in First Class.
Well, not really. Like I thought it was funny, but not really in that exact sense. Maybe he shows up for one action scene, he kills some people or whatever in a non-violent but still implying violence fashion, and then he'll be like, "So long, fuckers," and then he goes away or something.
Well, I think the main concern here is that they've been putting Deadpool into their cartoons. And just completely, and I mean it's a cartoon for children. They're not going to have him pop up and what's up, sluts, and all this shit.
But now they've established him as a hard R character. They're going to have to be creative with breaking out of the archetype if they're gonna have him in the live action movies.
Yeah,
they
not
can't
only
just
have they established
neuter him all of a sudden.
They've established him, and the movie was such a huge hit that it's going to eclipse X-Men Days of Future Past in box office revenue. That's what they're predicting. And so that's a game changer. If they're going to take that to heart.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, fuck that movie anyway, though. So.
Yeah.
One thing I made a comment to about Ken regarding this film is the way they were able to make the eyes on the mask expressive.
Mm-hmm.
And I commented, I was like, that's one thing that they needed to get right, because like in the comics, that's how you can tell Deadpool's expressions usually. It's just the way his white eyes are shaped or whatever. I was really, really concerned about that because it seemed like money would have to be put into it to make the mask do those things, but it
turns out it didn't take that much money because the movie
it looked great. It looked great.
When you think about it, though, there really isn't. I mean, it's got action, but there isn't a ton of it.
No, not really. I mean, but the action that's there, I mean, when the action is going on, it's, I don't want to say in abundance, but it's enough.
And it's
that
not on a
opening
huge
action
scale,
sequence
so
is one for the ages. It's simple, and yet it's so brilliantly put together.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, they made it very effective, but there aren't really any major huge. So think of it like when we talked about the PG-13 argument thing, my first thought went to Live Free or Die Hard, which got a fucking huge budget because it was PG-13. Mm-hmm. The whole sequence where the semi is trying to escape from the jet is a massive sequence that involves this entire multi-level freeway collapsing. Like, you don't have anything insane like that in Deadpool. So they took a smaller budget, went with less is more, and made a small handful of good action sequences that didn't really go too crazy like the X-Men or Spider-Man or Batman did with them.
Yeah, and well, here's the thing. I think we've gotten to action movie overload here, where if every single superhero movie is world-destroying consequences, ultimately it's like, okay, so how are they going to try to destroy the world this time?
That's one thing that I think this movie, the fact that it is a very smaller plot, it's not like the city's going to blow up or we're going to raise something into the sky and blue light and, all that shit.
Yeah.
It's all, this is just a simple little story, and it works so well.
Yeah, the highest stake, it was just a simple revenge story, and the bad guy wanted to kill his girlfriend. That's about as far as it got.
Well, that was a personal thing. It wasn't about the girl. It was just about this guy challenged my ego and made me feel small.
Yeah.
Francis. I think what I like most about this is how much you end up caring about Deadpool. As an individual.
It was a surprisingly human story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing they make as a point is he's crazy and he's kind of an asshole, but he's an endearing asshole because if he insults you, it's more... He's not insulting you because he doesn't like you. He's insulting you because of his own insecurities in a way.
Yeah.
And then when he no longer has an excuse to have insecurities, he just completely goes off his rocker and just becomes, essentially a violent mass murderer.
And I loved how they really committed to how kind of crazy Wade Wilson is, even before his transformation to Deadpool. So he's sleeping on he's kind of crying in his chair, and his girlfriend asks what's wrong. He's like, "Oh, I was having the Liam Neeson Taken dream," and he has like 2 or 3 more lines just about Taken. It's like, okay, I don't know why they went with that, but they made it work.
The scene, honestly, that really, all of those references to like other action heroes were interesting and such, and I chuckled. But at the end of that big fight, when he takes off his mask and it reveals that the entire time during that huge action sequence, he was wearing a shitty magazine cutout of Hugh Jackman on his face underneath the mask.
It wasn't just on his face; it was stapled to his face.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. You guys digest that however you want. I personally look at it in sort of a Bugs Bunny way, where it was just like a prop that appeared for that one gag. I don't think that there was him. Maybe I'm wrong.
I prefer the insanity of this guy commits. He knew that he was going to see his girlfriend, and he wanted to greet her with the face of Hugh Jackman.
that's fine, honestly.
Yeah.
I like the Bugs Bunny comparison.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Bugs Bunny's always prepared, and so you kind of still get that.
I'm saying Bugs Bunny in the sense that like his props can dissolve and be gone in a cut,
Yeah, that's true. But,
going back to Ryan Reynolds as an actor, can we talk about when he hears the news that he has cancer and he spends a moment looking at his girlfriend's face?
Before
that was heartbreaking.
Before that, can we talk about the fake poster that looks like a Nicholas Sparks poster?
Oh yeah.
That was fucking genius. That's
cool, a love story. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so great. I can't even. And that's like a scene the when he finds out he has cancer. Like that's a scene that justifies that poster a little bit.
Well, it's great. They like we were just talking about. They committed to it all, and
that's the one thing I will say. I've actually recommended a lot of couples go see this because the love story in it is actually very genuine, and I think it's very sweet, and it comes through in the end.
Yeah, and as Bill was saying, as far as the performances, Ryan Reynolds just proves all along it wasn't him that was in all those shitty movies. He wasn't the one causing those movies to be shitty. I know there's a ton of
money.
When they announced Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, there were some people who just were so frustrated because they're like, well, he's never been in a good movie or something like that.
I knew he could do it from the gate.
I've been a long-standing defender where I've always known he had the ability to do a really good performance, and he just happened to, unfortunately, always pick bad movies.
He played a good performance in Just Friends.
What was that?
Hey, here's a question. Did anybody see The Voices from last year?
No, but I got it on Amazon Prime.
I wanted to see it. I spaced on it. I'll probably watch it later this week.
He played an imaginary superhero in Paperman with Jeff Daniels.
I've never seen that.
Me neither. I just saw the trailer for it. But
What was was that a horror movie?
no.
Somebody asked me recently, and maybe you guys can help me with this, because I think it was on the way to the theater before we watched the movie. Somebody was like, what was the last thing Ryan Reynolds was in? And my answer was The Croods.
Was he in The Croods?
He was in The Croods. He voices the main human kid that is trying to get with the daughter in that.
Okay.
I've never seen, so I don't know.
Well, believe it or
You
not,
don't need
as far as Ryan Reynolds' performances go, I recommend almost any movie he's in as far as movies to watch because of his performance, because I think he's a good actor. But I always use this as an example, National Lampoon's Van Wilder.
I don't like
Sure,
it.
yeah.
Not because of the bad toilet humor in it, which it has bad toilet humor, like they jerk off a dog in it. What I mean is, like, there's by the end of the movie, it becomes this like college drama about a guy growing up and moving on to the next phase of his life.
I'll stick with Rise of Taj. Thank you very much.
Oh, fuck
Just
that.
Friends.
Yeah, Just Friends. Okay.
Oh, I remember Just Friends. He's like fat in the beginning of that, and then he loses weight. And then
What was the movie
Yeah.
where he's a part of the Bill Clinton campaign?
What?
Bill Clinton election campaign. He's a part of the campaign to get him elected, and
What?
what was it called? Like, he has 3 women lovers, and it's like the movie's he's telling a story to his daughter, like about her mom and how he met her mom, and he's like, I won't tell you who it is, but this is the story of how I met your mom. And
I don't remember this at all.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know the name of the movie either.
Telling the story to his kids about how I met your mother? What?
Yes. What? That's crazy.
That's a television show.
Yeah, for real. I heard he was great in the Amityville Horror remake.
He's great in Adventureland. I can speak to that.
Oh yeah,
He's
he
really good
was
in
indeed.
Adventureland. Yeah, he's just all around really good actor, and I don't think he gets enough credit. Hopefully
played
he
He
gets
needs a better agent is what he needs.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Not at this point. Well, I will say this. This movie kind of got started because of the test footage, which, from what I understand, Ryan Reynolds put some of his own money into.
I have not clicked the link yet, but I keep seeing Ryan Reynolds finally reveals who leaked that test footage 2 years ago. Did anybody read that?
I don't know. I don't care who revealed it. I understand that he funded it, though. And I'm saying, like, the fact that he had so much confidence in his ability to portray this character, and the fact that ultimately there was an audience for this, it's actually really, really surprising that things have turned out the way they have, because in an alternate universe, this could have fucking failed. This could have gone straight down the crapper. Nobody would have saw it, and it just would have, floated into the ether over time.
And you know, else is crazy. Do you know what the only other notable thing that the director of this movie, Tim Miller, has done?
The title sequence for David Fincher's Girl with the Dragon Tattoo?
Yes, that's the only major thing he's done is those opening sequences.
He's an animator, yeah. I've actually seen some of his test animations and stuff, and
He's good.
The fact that they hired an animator to direct this was a really, really good choice because, like I said, there's a lot of Bugs Bunny comparisons you can make to Deadpool. There's a lot of Rocky and Bullwinkle comparisons you can make to Deadpool. It's a silly concept.
Here's something I found out about the test footage. I just looked it up as you guys were talking. Apparently, Fox actually did grant a small budget to fund the test footage. Ryan Reynolds attributed, though, the leak that he doesn't know who leaked it, he says, but he attributes 100% of that as the reason for why Fox greenlit the film.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Here's Reynolds' quote. As to when someone asked who leaked it, Reynolds said, "I would have if I had known it would have caused that."
There's some clickbait fucking bullshit if a story said Ryan Reynolds on who leaked the footage. That's... God damn it.
Yeah, that's true.
Pisses me off. I'm glad I didn't click that link.
Yeah, fuck that link.
So yeah, I also kind of think that the Tim Miller hiring is probably something very economical. You know, if they didn't hire, you know, Josh Trent, no, he'd be cheap. It's
Now he would be. Shit.
Yeah, right.
like Brad Bird to make the the Deadpool movie. They went with some guy who's never directed a feature-length film before and probably asked for less than $1 million to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, they took a chance on it. Honestly, they probably asked him for the Directors Guild minimum and said, if you can do this, then you'll have a long career with us. And, I wouldn't be surprised if they took a chance. But that said, needless to say, to wind this up, Deadpool is a really impressive superhero movie. And given percentage of the budget and what it's bringing in, it might be the most bang for its buck the superhero movie's ever had. Because it was made cheaply by comparison, and it just is endlessly thrilling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So with that said,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
With that said, with this, I'm in a
With that said.
I'm in a speech loop, and I don't know why. Next week, we've got a few new movies coming out. We've got Race, the Jesse Owens movie. We've got Risen, the Jesus movie, and we've got The Witch, the Witch movie.
The Witch movie, yeah. Which
movie?
Which I have to. I know. Where I highly recommend.
Now, the
I'm
movie,
kind of excited for Risen, if I'm being honest.
I will admit the concept of Risen basically being like a mystery in that this Roman general is trying to, or not, the centurion is trying to discover the truth behind Jesus, is an intriguing concept for a biblical epic. It could be interesting. I won't say that it's going to suck until I read the reviews.
Yeah, it's either going to be kind of an interesting spin on the story or the fucking biggest pile of shit, most hilarious thing. Like, it's either going to be hilarious or kind of interesting. It's not going to be great.
Right.
Sure as hell, if it's not great, it's going to be funny.
Well, one thing is, I really, I actually do. Joseph Fiennes is an actor who I really like, and I've always liked his performances, and I think it'll be interesting to see it.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Race, on the other hand, definitely my dad my dad has the best of both worlds in this respect. He's a history buff, and he also coached track, so I know all about Jesse Owens. And so I'm intrigued to see a biopic of Jesse Owens, but the movie's just being so unceremoniously dumped. I have seen barely a trailer for this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like shit.
And the other thing is, what a on-the-nose title for your movie. It's about race as an issue, and
I don't
he's
think
also a
anybody's
racer.
I'm surprised nobody's used that title yet.
Yeah.
How many movies about track? Actually, maybe. Well, no. I was gonna say you could have called Cool Runnings that, but the track part's only like the first 10 minutes.
Well, one of the greatest Oscar movies of the 80s was the track movie.
They race in bobsleds in Cool Runnings. You could have called it Race.
They could have called it Cool Runnings too. Which
Well,
they did.
also, but that's the thing is, like, Cool Runnings is a goofy movie. Like, Cool Runnings is a goofy movie, but not a goofy movie. It's like that was a Disney joke.
Yeah,
it's a movie.
That was a bad Disney joke.
Say, Bill A., I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this? It seems like the early 80s was like the golden era of track and field as a movie concept.
Brian's song commentary coming soon.
Because you had Chariots of Fire, Oscar-winning movie. You had Gallipoli, which is also about two track stars who go into the military.
Mm-hmm.
Two huge Oscar movies about track that came out within a year of each other. Isn't it weird how sometimes you have those very specific niches that suddenly...
Yeah, it happens every couple of years, or like that one year when the movie 9 came out, the musical, and then the cartoon movie 9 came out, and then District 9 came out all in the same year.
Oh, yeah.
Then the Hunger Games with District 9.
Right, exactly.
12, whatever.
There's weird things line up like that. I have to think that the studios did that on purpose. What I mean is not that they all colluded to do it. I mean, like, one studio heard that another studio was doing this, so they're like, "What can we release that's similar in title?"
Like
And then
A Bug's Life and
they
Ants.
go with that.
It's like, oh man, with our animated movie, we're totally going to take the thunder from that fucking musical with Daniel Day-Lewis. We're taking all of his views. And they did.
I don't even remember that. That only came out at one theater near me, and no one went to see it.
Which one?
So here's the cast of the movie Race. Listen to this cast. You've got, for Jesse Owens,
yeah.
You've got the actor Stephen James. Jason Sudeikis is in the movie. Jeremy Irons, William Hurt. Let's see, who else there?
This is Race?
Yeah. Do you know who Jesse Owens is, Hawk?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. No? Who said no?
Said no, and I said no.
I said no as meaning who plays Jesse Owens. I know who Jesse Owens is in real life.
Oh, the actor is Stephen James. I guess he's a Canadian actor. I don't know much about him. I guess he was on Degrassi: The Next Generation.
Oh, that's
okay.
Please, that's just deserving of a round of applause.
Well, you never know. You never know.
Have you guys
People
watched
start off
Degrassi?
Different weird.
I've never seen Degrassi, so no idea.
There's some funny single scenes in it. I can't recommend that you go watch it all, but there's some single funny scenes in a lot of Degrassi shit. I think Hawk Ripjaw could probably back me up on this.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is the movie was a U.S.-Canada co-production, so yeah, it makes sense that you would have a Canadian star. But the movie's about Jesse Owens, an American track star. I'm curious how that came together. But,
I saw a trailer for...
Oh my god, John Boyega was originally going to be Owens.
Oh my god!
He dropped out, though, to do The Force Awakens.
He dropped out when he got that paycheck.
He picked a smaller movie,
Yeah. You can play Jesse Owens. You can play Jesse Owens in a mid-budget historical period piece that will probably be dropped in February, or you can be the star of Star Wars. What are you going to
Money.
Like, fuck that up. Progressive. I saw a trailer when I saw Zoolander today for Richard Linklater's new movie, Everybody Wants Some, and it looks like shit.
Oh my god.
Richard...
Oh my god.
Richard Linklater
brought you the 70s with Dazed and Confused. Now he's bringing you the 80s. It's a movie about a frat house with a baseball team frat house, and it looks about 50 years too late.
The thing to remember about Richard Linklater is he's, I think, a very good director, but he also does a lot of movies, and he does a lot of his more, commercially aimed movies in order to fund his smaller movies.
One of these days, I'm gonna do like a Waking Life live tweet or something.
Look, he did the Newton Boys. He did Bad News Bears. He did School of Rock, which was a little better.
Shit! The Bad News Bears with Billy fucking Bob Thornton.
I totally forgot I did that.
That was an okay remake.
It was fine. No, I actually, my dad took me to see that in the theater. I was like 13 or 14 or something.
It's not bad, but it's just a commercial-minded movie. He knew that it was going to give him some money so he could, help.
It's basically Bad Santa Light.
Yeah.
Linklater is very much on the Steven Soderbergh kind of movie diet, where every once in a while Steven Soderbergh will make a very commercial movie, specifically because he knows it'll help him get his really crazy indie stuff funded.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I don't know but the problem is this Everybody Wants Some looks like one of his indie films. It's not crazy or anything, but it doesn't look like a commercial piece. It's just a nice little indie comedy that also looks like it's gonna fucking suck.
Hey, so after taking Woodstock, they ain't giving these indie directors shit.
that was Ang Lee. I don't know if
I know. Well, that's my point though. Is that Ang Lee was hired to direct that script because he was. Well, actually, he did the Hulk too. Fuck. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yep, it doesn't flow. But you're right. I'm actually looking at the cast, and I don't know who any of these people are except for Ryan Guzman.
Oh yeah, they were pretty much.
Oh my god, the boy next door is in this.
Yeah.
I got it. This is whoa. You got the boy next door. That's high profile. That's good casting right there.
Really.
By the way, I'm sorry, I can't hear Guzman as an actor and not expect, I mean,
Yeah,
Don't say it. Don't say it. You're gonna say Luis Guzman.
right.
Oh, he said
Wouldn't you? He's awesome. Luis
Well,
Guzman.
no. He's the mascot of Greendale Community College, which is the setting of the TV show Community, which you need to watch.
Oh, okay. All right. Eventually.
Yeah, that's a good show.
It's a good show.
it is.
So with that said, we've kind of talked this week to death. So next week,
Are we
as I
doing our
mentioned-
top 10s next week?
Yeah, when are we doing that?
Let me see. The Oscars are actually. You know what? I think next week we probably should because the Oscars will be
Yeah.
that
So
following.
The Oscar.
I am
Yeah, the
not
Oscars-
available on Wednesday of next week.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we'll talk about it. Maybe we can do a Oscar specific pre-game podcast.
We're doing
I
the
actually-
Oscars.
Well, I want to say this in advance, Bill. I may.
No, you've said it already. It's on record. You're not going to be there.
Well, I may be able to get there late, but I
Okay.
won't be there at the beginning.
What day are the
Bill's gonna be
Oscars?
hosting.
They're Sunday, like always. Even though the Grammys was on a Monday this week.
The Oscars are this coming Sunday?
No.
No.
Next.
No, the Sunday after.
Yeah.
Oh.
The 28th. 28th. February 28th.
I don't know if I'm working that day or not.
So anyway, we will see you next week on Movie Boozer, and we may have an extra bonus podcast for you.
Yep.
Take
Take
it easy.
care.